Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Am I insane? Oh, sorry, it's not. It's a rhetorical question. It's the question I ask myself every morning. Because Albert Einstein was supposed to have defined insanity as doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different outcome. For 37 odd years, that's what I've been doing. I've been thinking the same, talking the same, recommending the same. But I would contend I'm not insane, the world is insane. I hate Ezemvelo. I hate the symposium. On Monday morning, I was happy, I was relaxed, everything was good. I was looking forward to the symposium, to meeting people, to learning things. It was great. This morning, I woke up a little bit early because I was going to do a presentation today. And I got up, I had a 2-minute shower, and then I went to brush my teeth. And I squeezed 2.5 millimeters of toothpaste on the family toothpaste tube, put it onto my brush, and I saw microparticles. I didn't see toothpaste. Suddenly I was stressed out of my bracket. You worry about the politicians today and the problems of today. They're all going to die and go. But my microparticles on my toothpaste are going to be here for my grandchildren. But that's what this symposium is about. And another thing, ladies and gentlemen, I've got to come out the closet finally. I use these things. I use these flipping plastic bags. I'm a substance abuser. But that's, again, what this symposium is about. We've all got something to learn, and we're all in the same position. And it's a chance to focus away from the newspaper this morning and to actually focus on other things and to see other people's problems and how they're dealing with them. But without further ado, here we go. I hope. Facts and realities. I've lived in the Maputaland area since 1980. Maputaland at that stage was remote, it was little developed. It was a mosaic of areas run, it was all communal area in the old KwaZulu. It was run by traditional authorities, and little was formally conserved at that time. I'll go into it just now. It was administered by the KwaZulu government, not the, well, it was the apartheid regime, but it was the homeland government. It was quite different. And we were a government department, the Bureau of Natural Resources, the BNR. We were part of the IFP KwaZulu government at that time. There were various things on the go. There was a bit of a war raging in Mozambique. There was a few landmines and stuff going off in Maputaland. Politics was rife, even at that time, because that was the apartheid regime. We were in the black area. There was a heck of a lot of political stuff going on. And then, just a couple of years into it, I got a gentleman came and visited me. He took off my KwaZulu epaulets and gave me Swaziland epaulets. I saw on the television Pik Botha standing up and saying, we've given this area to Swaziland and the Americans are going to build a naval base. There was absolute turmoil at that time. It wasn't kind of quiet and gentle. Communications were slow and difficult. Gee, there weren't any cell phones. There wasn't any emails. If you got the phone, you went grrr, grrr, and then you gave up. It didn't work. Things have improved on that front. But that's the area, Maputaland. It's beautiful. And not only that, this is now from that was the mouth, Cozy Mouth, coming up into the lakes. And now just to make it all green, that area there. Our house, where we lived for 37 years, in the bush, away from everything. Fantastic. But my swimming pool was there, complete with hippos and sharks and all sorts of things. And a fishing hole. Over there, last week, I kid you not, I caught the biggest fish of my life. 2 of them, giant kingfish in that fishing hole. And then, just to make you really, really jealous, my office. Oh, so when you hear, oh, gee, oh, hi, no, I'm sorry, I'm in the office at the moment doing emails. Yeah, well, that's the reality. Okay, back to the facts. 1980, this is a Google map, but superimposed is the protected areas back in 1980. And basically, it was Ndumu Game Reserve, 10,000 hectares, and Cozy Bay, which was under 50 hectares. In the first 10 years, up to 1990, we made incredible progress in getting new protected areas. So we went from very small to quite a few, and the figures show that almost by an order of magnitude, we got more land under conservation. That's how it looks in a graph. So we made a heck of a lot of progress at that time. They were exciting, but they weren't necessarily easy times. There was, at that stage, from the KwaZulu government, Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi, he actively supported us. He'd come and speak to us. He was for conservation. Never mind the politics, he supported environmental conservation. The government departments worked. If you spoke to me back then, I'd say, bunch of useless idiots. Works department, incredibly incompetent. Well, the new reality is somewhat different. They actually worked, they cooperated with each other, they built us houses. They did all sorts of things. We could go to the Department of Agriculture and get free poles. It was amazing. That's why we made a lot of the progress. Many people were dedicated. And I don't just mean the conservation thing. You phoned up someone in Works Department and he'd actually do what he was supposed to do. That was quite amazing. We don't realize how much some things have actually changed. Because last week when I was retired, I went to UIF people. I went to the Department of Home Affairs. My goodness. Those old days, things did function. Yeah. But one of the underlying things also was budgets were increasing. I mean, that just makes such a huge difference. Our budgets went from very, very small. In fact, I think the first budget I had was 38,000. We went up to much, much greater. Everything at that stage was political, as it is now. Communities were divided, as they are now. Tourism at that stage was growing rapidly, and it was seen as the development option for that area. So it was giving us a good impetus to actually forge ahead with the conservation, to bring in tourism for jobs and money. And the economy itself in South Africa, in spite of everything, was developing. But still at that time, we were the KwaZulu government, we were seen as being IFP, opposition was being organized. The human population, we didn't kind of realize it at that time, but there was like 4 or 5% increase per annum. Oh, we go back 37 years, we do the maths. I wish my interest in bank account was like that. They've kind of trebled in numbers in this time. And Ezemvelo was a major player in the region at that time. When we went to the traditional authority, we ended up with like 7 or 8 vehicles. And you really felt we're kind of strong, and we got the support of the police, the government, everybody. That's changed. If we go to the traditional authority now, we're in one funny little vehicle that's kind of squonk with a flat tire. And there's all sorts of people in smart vehicles. And there was criticism too. We were taking too much land, fencing it off. We were stopping people accessing resources, placing animals above people. At that stage, there was a big Methodist mission influence, and they said, one human life is worth more than all the elephants in the world, because we were trying to fence Tembe Elephant Park. We were moving people off their land. Creating a network of islands was a huge criticism at that time. We were oppressing people, misleading people, and killing people. That's what the criticism was at the time, and some of it was legitimate, some of it was a bit distorted. But if you look at the misleading, which really, really worried me, we did not purposely or knowingly mislead anybody. Circumstances changed, budgets changed, we changed departments, all sorts of things happened that weren't our fault. And our negotiations were always done because we negotiated Tembe Elephant Park, Coastal Forest Reserve. We did it in good faith. But the reality was, in those days, there were no computers. You couldn't do a voicemail, whatever it is. There were no really good minutes. And we trusted each other. So why take minutes and things if we trusted each other? And now looking back, we've all got selective recall. My dear wife and I cannot agree on what happened 20 years ago. Not because we want to disagree, but because our memories are not good. And we were all pretty naive at that time. Politicians muddying waters. We thought it was a good idea to bring them in, but when you bring them in, they make unrealistic promises. They don't stick to the agenda of the meeting. They rarely come back. Some of them nearly get killed, in fact. But anyway, and we were left off worse than when we started. And circumstances changed. Budgets, responsibilities, the laws. We allowed people to do things inside reserves, and then the law made it illegal. Then what do? You go back to the community and say, oh, remember we negotiated that? We can't do it anymore. And we're seen as being the causes of that. Change from subsistence to commercial use, the attitudes of people, and tourism numbers and types. It's changing like mad. When I went to Cozy Bay, the occupancy there in the camp was 12%. It went up to 92%. So when we were saying, yeah, it's going to bring in jobs and money, but what happened? It's down below 40% again. And we got that area based on promises on development and tourism. Oops. The last 20 years, no really big new areas. A staff reduction, 150 staff members at Cozy Bay at the peak, it's down to under 50. Having told the communities, we're going to employ you. reduction in budgets, afforestation, commercialization, more people and greater demands. Everything just got much more complicated. 5 minutes to go. Politics is dominating as ever before. Service delivery is very poor. People are angry. People are looking for someone to blame. Politicians are looking for someone to blame. And if we do our job, guess what? We make some people very unhappy. So we've been targeted. At the present, Mr. Trump, I'll enjoy this one. Mr. Trump, you're wrong. I'm sorry, from Monday morning, well, Monday afternoon. Climate change is all around us. Take Maputaland. This is Lake Sabaya, or it was Lake Sabaya. That arrow there is the water level recorder that I had to wade out to many years ago. Now, Sabaya, the biggest, well, it's a Ramsar site, the biggest permanent freshwater lake in southern Africa, is probably no longer the biggest one. It's lost more than 10 meters. This is a swamp forest at Cozy Bay, and it's burnt from the bottom of this photograph up until we stopped it at the arrow. Peat is burning all over the place. Now, peat takes tens of thousands of years to build up. It's burning. So, Trump, you're wrong. This is a difficult one. Mr. Zuma adapted this since Monday, don't worry. We need your help. This is a Google photo again of the area roundabout in Gobsleigh Lake at Sodwana Bay, and there's a couple of funny colours there. If we look closer, that is happening today outside Sodwana Bay. It's very sobering. And there's tens of thousands of outside visitors going to drive past there round about Christmas time. The road there is a tar road to Sodwana Bay. That forest destruction has now crossed that tar road and is proceeding. We desperately need more money, Mr. Zuma, more capacity, and fundamentally, more political support, Mr. Zuma. We need to look after this country for our children, not just for the voters in 2019. And a lot of people are losing track of that. Next 20 years, what would we say? Pessimistic? No use to anyone. Optimistic? We need to be optimistic, but it needs to be realistic. So, how do we be realistic? We need to regain political support for the environment, convincing voters. We need to rebuild our own ethos and enthusiasm, because we're kind of hanging on desperately to where we are. We're kind of losing enthusiasm. We get into a group and we talk into a negative spiral. Somehow, we have to get out of that. We need to get conservation to make money and make sense. If tourism is dwindling all over the place, and I've seen the Drakensberg all over, the camps are empty. And yet you speak to people and they can't book the camp because it's full. There's a problem. We need to change the public mindset. Changing the public mindset, people still see us as the bad guys. I'm sorry, fellas. I don't think I'd like to be here if we were the bad guys. We are the good guys. 2 minutes left. We don't lie, cheat, and mislead. Well, I hope we don't. We do not suppress, oppress, or murder. So how do we improve? We have to learn from the past mistakes. And what are the mistakes and lessons? Well, I've got about 153 of them, I'm not kidding. But I've got a few here. I'm going to start, and when I run out of time, I'll stop. But they're all here. I've got them all. So I want to try and hand on a bit of a legacy of the things that we've kind of learned. A lot of them are common sense, a lot of them you know. But to try and list these things that we can hand over something to the people coming through. How do we learn from our past? Number one, do not trust politicians. Number two, do not lie. It'll come back and bite you. I know that because I've been accused of lying many times over the years. But if you stay there long enough and people realize, oh, it wasn't actually a lie, things just changed, it's great. And I hope this applies to politicians because when you listen to them, it sounds great. We'll see. Sometimes the best answer is simply a no in terms of management. Instead of going into huge details, sometimes it's much easier and more effective just to say, look, I'm sorry, we cannot do that, it's illegal or whatever. Monitoring should not replace management. In the past, I've been at workshops and stuff, and, well, actually, we can't prove what we can see is going on, so let's monitor for 5 or 10 years and then implement management. Meantime, the stocks crash. So by the time you get round to doing management, A, you've got no money, B, the resources are smashed. Do not promise what is not under your control. We've all got to know that over the years. And these days, expecting any other group, government department, whatever, to do work, it's not going to happen. Probably best to do it yourself. And people often tell you what they think you want. Make mistakes honestly, openly, and apologize. I'm wonderful at apologizing. I've had lots of practice. Do not speak on behalf of others. Everyone wants someone to blame. Make good allies and stick with them. There's good people out there. There's NGOs, there's communities, there's whatever. Get the good ones and work with them. Be selective. Good ideas come from others. We've worked closely with a certain other organization, which will remain nameless. We don't have good ideas, they have good ideas. So you feed the seeds to them, and they become good ideas. Everyone is an outsider in a community. Do not associate with anyone you do not trust. Ed Ostrowski is my brother-in-law now. He came to Maputaland in 1983. I refused to take him to the traditional authority because I used to introduce these morons. Yeah, I took such turkeys to the authority, and you stand there introducing this turkey to the community, and they associate you with the turkey. So Ed Ostrowski, he was an American from Vietnam. He was weird, so I refused to take him to the traditional authority. Now he's my brother-in-law. You cannot jointly manage if you do not manage. Our leaders will change. Those little microplastics will still be there, but our leaders will change. Important issues always need a champion. That's well known. Do not despair. The bad will not last forever. Stick to what you believe in and believe in what you stick to. Record all agreements, even if it's unanimous. We can't be naive anymore. No matter who you're dealing with, he could be your sort of friend today, but with politics the way it is, get it in writing. Smile. Nobody likes a pessimist. This is so flipping true. If you listen to some pessimistic thing, you kind of want to try and take it away from your memory. Optimistic stuff is what we need. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone sitting out there is getting the wrong message at the moment. So what? This was an important one in the good old days. Do-gooders do not always do good. Even the missionaries and things coming in. They were kind of the moral high ground, and we were the government enforcing the law. We were doing good too, we were trying. Aim for perfection, don't expect it. Second prize is much better than no prize. That's what my kids must know. We're not going to get what we want all the time, but second prize is a heck of a lot better than nothing. If you lose a battle, regroup and attack again. And the last one, in case you missed the first one. Never, ever trust a politician. Oh, I did it.